Something that has always been a negative mindset with a certain type of player is one of the scrub mentality. Essentially what happens is a few things, like place blaming. I lost because you're playing lane, or my character just has a bad matchup. In some cases, this is a valid reason why you might lose. However, when this crosses the threshold of you're only winning because the character is broken, or if that character didn't have that move, you wouldn't win. First thing you want to do is to define the difference between being new to a game, a newbie, and having a scrub mentality. First of all, when you're new to fighting games, it can be very challenging. You have to break many habits like jumping in all the time, mashing Dragon Punch, getting used to footsies, and things of that nature. You're more ignorant to how things work in a fighting game, so you're in the process of learning. You have many hurdles to overcome, and it's fair to say that it will take time to adopt a mindset that will work for you. Having a scrub mentality is different altogether. You aren't trying to learn anymore. Instead, you choose the scapegoat. It is many times more easier to assume that your losses stem from the person you're facing rather than your own lack of skill or understanding of the matchup itself. As an example, we will talk about Urian in the game Street Fighter V. Urian is arguably one of the best characters in the game, and yet his tournament wins are very few. That should tell you enough to look within yourself and understand that he isn't unbeatable. Yet a single win with him can result in using the very character as a scapegoat for a loss. Fighting games, when referencing chess, as we often do, is about playing pieces. True, if you had 8 queens, you'd win, but you don't, and that isn't a practical thing to base an argument off of. However, if you have a set amount of pieces, and I think we can agree in saying that if you don't have a queen and you don't have that bishop, you wouldn't win, would sound ridiculous. Your win isn't predetermined because you have a better character. Otherwise, the tournament results would be filled with Urians and Bryans, winning not only the grand finals, but in every place within the top 8 in their respective games. I can recount the times learning X-Men vs Street Fighter and thinking Sabretooth was the best character in the game and just pretty much no one could beat him. Until I figured him out. Then it hit me, the characters aren't the ones winning as you the player are. However, unfortunately, when you have a scrub mentality, you start to devalue the other player's efforts and you start saying things like, Power Stone is so scrubby, oh my god, all you do is mash one button. And this serves no use other than showing how upset you truly are. When we adopt the attitude of place blaming instead of looking within ourselves for the answers, we stop thinking, we stop trying to figure out the puzzle. That isn't the attitude you want, yet if you allow yourself to do so, you end up angry, spiking your controller, and dropping every excuse in the pity potty. Fighting games have so many levels of complexity, and at a high level, skill can never be written off as a character putting in the work for the player. Chris G recently won a major with Morgan and Monster Hunter. Menard won Capcom Cup with Birdie. Ali won an Evo with Mario. Surely these are feats of a player's skill over the usage of their tier, is it not? The player who outthinks and outplays the other player will win the majority of the time, regardless of their character's tier. When I want to pick up a game for the first time, I force myself to remember something said by Mel Robbins, which is actually best said by her.
When you take on a massive change, whether it's trying to diet after a lifetime of being overweight, or maybe running your first race after a lifetime of never ever exercising, or maybe it's starting to date again after you lost your spouse to cancer. When you confront something that's going to require you to change your behavior, you basically come face to face with the gap between who you are right now and the future person you want to be.
Think of this in terms of a good player. They look at their gameplay, maybe even replay a match and try to work out the areas they need to work. Pierre Rog once said, the difference between Japanese players and American players is they aren't concerned with win-loss ratios. They are just concerned with trying to play perfect. Now you don't need to do all that, but even still, when you're in the pursuit of trying to become an even better player than when you started, you have to sort of adopt this sort of thing into your mindset. If you don't, then you're doomed to end up in that perpetual, unjustified ego and place blaming that we call the scrub mentality. Over the years, I've interviewed many top players from different walks of life, from Street Fighter to Smash Bros to Marvel, even Tekken. And I tried to keep one question consistent throughout all of these interviews, and that was, what tips do you give players who are trying to get better? The answer hasn't changed. Work hard, put in effort. Don't assume that the only way you're going to win is if everyone's character gets nerfed. Where's the fun in becoming better? Take time to identify why you're losing and how to play better. Don't sit and blame the guy next to you because of your loss, because your character, your haircut, your family, whatever is your loss. Maybe this message won't click with everyone, but I hope some people can take something away from it. With that said, I'll end the video here today. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for more content in the future. And if you liked the video, please feel free to hit the like button. This has been Dezmu from Edmonton Gamers, and I will see you next time.